This video is going to look at the chain rule, which is kind of the last big rule in derivatives, and it's the one that lets us basically calculate any derivative. So for any function of x that we have, or any function of some other variable, this will let us calculate the derivative. So let's jump right into it. So the chain rule is used on more complex functions. And specifically, we're looking at composite functions. So it's used on composite functions, which, if you remember, is where you have something like this, f of g of x, meaning there's a function inside of another function. And it must be used for all composite functions. So if you have a composite function, you have to use the chain rule. You don't have an option with that. And it can be done multiple times for a more complex composite function. So for example, if you have f of g of h of x, you can do the chain rule multiple times. And we'll show the example of that as we get into it. But the chain rule is as follows. If you're trying to take the derivative with respect to x of a function f of g of x, so again, g is inside f of x, this is equal to the derivative of f of x, or sorry, the derivative of f of g of x times the derivative of g of x, the function that's inside. And so similarly, if you had a more complex one, I'll mention that here. So f of g of h of x, we just work from the outside in. So we go, this is equal to f prime of g of h of x times, and then I'm going to take the derivative of this inner part, which is also a composite function, so I have to do the chain rule there. So that'll be g prime of h of x. And then I have to take the derivative of the inner function here, so that'll be h prime of x. And so this is the chain rule. It's just looking at, if you imagine a bunch of parentheses in there, just working from the outside in, taking the derivative as you work your way in. The next video here will show a couple examples.